Turning to another crucial hearing on Capitol Hill today in our world lead, fresh and alarming testimony from the top spy and intelligence chiefs of the United States. They told the House Intelligence Committee about various and looming threats from Russia, China, artificial intelligence, not to mention the terrorist threat to the United States at a whole, quote, another level. Listen to FBI Chief Christopher Wray.
We have seen over the last, I think, 5 years, an increase in the number of KSTs, or known or suspected terrorists, attempting to cross the southern border.
Joining us now for a bipartisan interview, the chairman of the House Select Committee on Intelligence, Congressman Mike Turner, Republican of Ohio, and the ranking Democrat, Congressman Jim Himes, a Democrat from Connecticut. Thanks to both of you for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Jake. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jake.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Boy, you guys really are on the Intelligence Committee.
We know.
You've been briefed. So let me start with you, Ranking Member Himes, because I want to ask about the border. It's such a politically fraught issue for any president, but the statistics we're hearing are alarming. Is President Biden doing enough to address these specific concerns about terrorists entering the United States?
Well, Jake, the way I'd answer that is by saying that more needs to be done on the border. No country can have a border in which lots of people are coming across and we don't know who they are. Now, look, I also feel very strongly that we talk about this rooted in truth, right? And the reality is that the number you just quoted, the number of KSTs coming across the southern border that represent a true terrorist threat is actually pretty small. It's in the double digits. Many of those who have come across are actually Colombian nationals that may have been associated with one of the revolutionary groups there, including groups that are no longer designated as terrorists. So yes, we need to do a much better job securing our border, but we also need to talk about the border and about immigration in ways that doesn't raise the risk in immigrant communities and inside this country.
Chairman Turner, do you agree with your colleague's assessment?
Well, I think what's critical here is if you listen to the words of Director Wray, he's saying that right now, that the terrorist threat, that the threat for an actual terrorist attack occurring inside the United States by individuals who have crossed over the southern border, who have either known ties or are affiliated with terrorist groups and organizations, is the highest that it's been. And really, at times, he said, even since 9/11. That's a real serious warning from the director of the FBI. It's something that needs to be at the highest of our level of concern, as does the southern border in which they're crossing.
Chairman Turner, let's turn to Russia and the war on Ukraine. You questioned CIA Director William Burns, who just got back from his 10th visit to Ukraine. Let's play some of that.
Ukraine is not running out of courage and tenacity. They're running out of ammunition, and we're running out of time to help them.
Now, the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, wants to wait until the government funding bill is done. And then some Republicans are hoping he'll bring a Ukraine aid package to the House floor, which would also include restrictions on the border. Are you able to convince Speaker Johnson that timeline might not be quick enough?
I think it's absolutely clear that we're at a critical point with Ukraine. They are fighting mightily, but Russia is aware of their dwindling supplies. The United States needs to resupply them. This aid package needs to be approved. This is critical. This is the issue of democracies versus authoritarian regimes. We cannot allow Putin to win here. And certainly, this is about the self-determinations of people. The Ukrainians deserve our help and support, and they certainly are getting it from around the world and from other NATO allies.
Ranking Member Himes, there is a bill that Republican Congressman Fitzpatrick and Democratic Congressman Golden have put together that would be an aid package similar to the one that passed the Senate, but a little different. I think it's $49 billion instead of $60 billion. It doesn't include some humanitarian aid, but it would provide this aid for Ukraine. And right now, members can force it onto the floor of the House if they sign what's called a discharge petition. But it sounds as though neither Speaker Johnson nor the head of the Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, want members to do that. Why not?
Well, Jake, there's actually a discharge petition on the floor right now. It's a discharge petition run by Jim McGovern. I actually just signed it, that would discharge force onto the floor the Senate bill. Now remember, the Senate bill got 70 Senate votes in an environment where nothing gets 70 Senate votes, strong bipartisan support, and it ticks all the boxes. It's got Ukraine, it's got Israel, it's got humanitarian aid for Gaza, it has Indo-PACOM. The Speaker, for reasons I don't understand, has decided that that won't come to the floor, but that's a mechanism we can do. Look, there are a bunch of mechanisms. The Speaker could bring that to the floor. He could change his mind. We could use a discharge petition. I've heard the Speaker say he might try to break the bill up into its component parts and put them on the floor one at a time. The critical thing is that it gets done, because Mike's exactly right. We are out of time, and it's not just about Russia and Ukraine. It is about China, North Korea, and Iran looking at us and saying, have the Americans got out of the business of defending democracy? And to date, we have answered that question with a resounding no. And we just need to turn that around, because again, President Xi is watching right now, and he's thinking about Taiwan. And our response to this will determine how things look in this country and on this globe for the next couple of decades.
Chairman Turner, you're about to lose another colleague. House Republican Ken Buck has announced he's not just retiring at the end of the year, he's quitting next week. He says it's so dysfunctional, it's so ugly, Congress is getting nothing done. He is out of here. What's your response?
Well, it's certainly going to make it more difficult to get things done around here. But I do think that we are progressing. We passed last week the funding package for half of the government. We certainly have a funding package. It looks like it's going to be moving forward next week with bipartisan support. The last package voted with over 300 bipartisan votes. I also think we can pass Ukraine and Israel funding, bipartisan, over 300 votes. We just got to get these things to the floor and get moving.
You're not concerned, though? He's none of his diagnosis with which you agree?
This has been an incredibly difficult time, this entire 2 years, especially since Kevin McCarthy was fired, where a small group of Republicans joined with the Democrats for removing Kevin. It's been hard, certainly, for this body to recover from that, and I think certainly Speaker Johnson's working very diligently to try to get things moving, and we need to get those bills on the floor and get them passed.
Chairman Turner, Ranking Member Himes, thanks so much. Always good to have both of you on at the same time. It's a good message to America that Democrats and Republicans can work together.
Thank you, Jake.